So how do we actually apply the CSS? There are actually three different ways that we can put CSS onto our web page. They are external, so you can do actually a separate document that's a CSS document. Usually you make it styles.css, just like our other one is index.html. Okay, so you can do an external document, and then you actually link it. You put you have a separate sheet, and in this case, I have a folder called CSS. Remember, we made that folder called CSS, and then you write out this bit of code at the top inside of the head. Remember, the head is the part of the web page that you do not see. It's just extra information. That's where you would link that external sheet. There's also internal embedded code, where at the, again, in the head of the document, you would create a style tag, opening and closing, and then inside of that, you would put all of your properties, okay? And that would just go at the very top, and then you would just target the different ones by the type. So I'd say, oh, the body, make it this stuff. Take your H1s and make them this color, okay? So that's internal, and then the last way to do it is inline. And what you do is you actually write inside of the tag itself. See this H1? See how it's not, I don't have the other greater than less than symbol. It's right here. So what you do is you take that and you add style equals quotes, and then you write inside of there your different properties, okay? Your different CSS rules. And then that will apply onto the element here. Okay. For this week, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be using inline. So I'm going to work our way up to external. So we're going to start inline this week. Next week we'll do internal, and then the last week we'll do external. Okay. It's partly out of complexity, but it's actually useful to know each one of them. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. And as you know, as a segue, inline. Okay, so what's good about this is that it is the easiest way to make sure that something is 100% going to be affected by the CSS rule. If I put that CSS rule directly inside of the tag itself, I know that this element is going to have it applied, right? Even if I have other CSS rules, I have externals and I have internal ones. This one, because it's directly onto the element itself, will override anything else. So it's a good way of sort of pushing it and forcing it to be styled that way. Now, most of the time you don't want to do that because it's hardest to debug, because you got to go through every single line and be like, oh no. And let's say that you want all your H1s to be purple like this. I have to, every single time on all my H1s, type in this bit here, which is, you know, kind of cumbersome. So it's not necessarily the best way to go about doing it, but it is useful to know, and you will have to do it at times. For example, this thing you see right here, that's how I made this happen. A lot of the ways that I make stuff happen on my webpage is done through inline, because when you're doing stuff using a CMS, which we're using WordPress here, the only way I really have access to some of the fancier things is to force it through inline CSS. There are other ways of doing it as well, but it's definitely useful for that. Okay, so we're going to be doing inline this week.